Welcome to Smart Money Millionaire, where we give you the practical tools and knowledge you need to be smart with your money and turn yourself into a millionaire. My name is West Cohan, and I'm a certified financial planner. I'm also an accredited investment fiduciary, and I currently serve as the Chief Investment Officer for InvestLink, where I manage about $40 million for my clients. And so today we're here to talk about the top 5 reasons that you're broke, okay? A recent 2019 study shows that a whopping 69% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings, and 45% of Americans have $0 in savings, not even a penny. In fact, many of them are probably negative in debt. Those are really some frightening and terrifying statistics that suggest to me there's a lot of folks out there that need some tips on how not to be broke. So today I want to share with you a lot of the top tips that I've learned that I see all the time dealing with my clients. And I'll tell you, it's very common where they'll say, West, it's hopeless, there's no light at the end of the tunnel, I'm always going to be broke, I might as well just keep racking up credit card debt and go into Vegas and just ride it until the wheels fall off because I'm screwed. And that's really not true. And I think you'll be surprised if you start doing the 5 things that we're going to talk about here today, just how easy it is to get yourself on the right track. So without further ado, number 1. Number 1 is you're financially illiterate. You don't know the first thing about the language of money or finance or making smart financial decisions. And to make matters worse, a recent study shows that 4 out of 5 Americans consider themselves as highly financially literate, but when they take a simple 5-question test, only about 1/3 of them were able to correctly answer 4 out of 5 questions, and only 14% of them were able to get all 5 correct. So what that suggests is that most people are overconfident, think they've got it all under control, but really they need to read a book. What are some examples of financial literacy? You might be asking yourself, do you know how to read your tax return? Do you know how to read your 401k statement or to figure out what you're paying in fees? Do you know how to use a credit card responsibly? Do you know the difference between an appreciating asset and a depreciating asset? If you don't know the answer to some of these questions, that's probably a sign that you're lacking a little bit in some financial literacy. So the solution here is really straightforward. The first thing that you need to do is educate yourself. So there's several ways you can do that. Number 1, you can smash the like and subscribe button right here to this channel, because we're going to be dropping a lot of killer content that'll help you figure that out. But I get it. Some of you haters out there are going to be like, nah, I don't think so, West. What else you got? And that's fine. Haters gone hate. I'm going to put some links in the descriptions below. Number 1, we're going to put 13 free financial education courses where you can go back to school online and put yourself through some detailed courses. They're going to teach you some of the basics that you need to know. Or if that sounds like, Wes, I'm on YouTube, I'm not trying to go back to school, what else you got? Okay, that's fair. You can just maybe read a book. And there's some really great books on the topic, and I'll put that in the description below as well. Some of my favorites are The Millionaire Next Door and Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So go ahead, step 1 there, get yourself an edumacation. Edumacation. Number 2. Number 2 is that you don't have not those kind of goals, but you probably don't have financial goals. Number 2 is that you don't have goals or intention. So this is like anything else in life. If you want to reach your goals, number one, you gotta have a goal to reach, and then you gotta work towards that goal in a realistic way. What are some examples of some financial goals that you might have? Well, you might want to say, I want to get out of debt, or I want to start saving for retirement, or I want to buy my first house, or I want to start a business so that I can quit my day job. Or it could be anything, okay? But step one is setting a financial goal. And then, more importantly than just setting the goal, is you need to have a plan of attack to reach your goal. Some of the important steps that go into reaching your goals: you need to start small. So if you have a big goal, break that up into small bite-sized chunks. You need to set some deadlines and some objectives for accountability so that you can keep yourself on track. You need to be reviewing that periodically and holding yourself accountable. And then if something's not working, you need to be tweaking it until you get to where you need to be. So instead of saying as a goal, I want to be a millionaire, you might want to say, well, I want to save $100. And then you might say, I want to save $500. Then $1,000. And then $5,000, $10,000. And then you might find yourself saying, okay, I want to review this monthly, and I'm going to figure out where am I at each month. And am I going up? Am I on track? What's going on there? And then, if you find yourself where you're not reaching your goals, or maybe not as fast as you would like to be reaching your goals, it's time to start making some adjustments and tweaking it. So if you're having a hard time saving money, you might need to figure out, okay, well, are there places I can spend less money? Or are there ways I can make more money? Can I sell one of my kids? Whatever, okay? But you need to make some tweaks to make sure you get there. It's like anything else in life: learning an instrument, learning a new hobby, learning a language, becoming a successful athlete, getting into great shape. Nailed it. Where you gotta set goals and keep it realistic, keep it bite-sized chunks, hold yourself accountable, and keep moving. Number three. Number three is you spend more than you make. This one is super simple. If you're spending more than you make, you're always going to be broke. And that's not surprising when statistics show that 39% of Americans have credit card debt and the average balance is $16,000. That's a great way to stay broke forever. And it's not about how much do you make. Okay, now some of you out there are probably saying, West, I'm super disciplined, I eat rice and top ramen, and I don't have Netflix or cable, but I still can't save money or get ahead. Okay, we'll address that in number 4. But most of you, that's not the problem. And if you think that's the problem, you're probably lying to yourself. And I have examples of this all over the place. I have one client who makes over $3 million a year, $3 million a year, and guess what? He still spends more than he makes. In fact, I have a lot of clients who are making over $500,000 and certainly making over $100,000 who spend more than they make. And so they're treading water, maybe they're living a nice lifestyle in a beautiful house with a nice car, but that's going to catch up with you, and that's going to lead to being broke. And you don't have to look very far to see other examples of this. If you look at NFL players, other professional athletes, and lottery winners, the statistics are that most of them end up broke 3 to 5 years after making all that cheddar. And why is that? Because they spend more than they make. That's right. It's true. So really try to ask yourself, do you know how much you make? Do you know how much you spend in a given month? And the solution to this is real simple, okay? What you need is a budget. So get yourself a budget and work it, okay? So we're going to put some links in the description below. There's some great free apps that you can use, like Mint or YNAB, You Need a Budget, that can help you out. Or there's also some free Excel templates that you can use, and you can create your own custom budget and make it any way that you would like, or do it pen and paper. Doesn't really matter, just make a budget. And for some of you who are saying, West, I know I need a budget and I should be doing a budget, but I don't really want to, it's not really fun, and I'm kind of busy, so I don't know if that's gonna work. I hear you. Budget for some people is not fun. I think it can be very empowering. You can find it very illuminating. But for those of you who aren't gonna do the budget game, because that's too much work, I've got a shortcut for you, a little pro tip that'll help you save some time. You don't have to track everything that you spend each month, but you should at least be tracking your bank accounts. So pull the last 6 months of your bank account statements online, and then look at those puppies and look at the trend. Are your bank accounts going up? Are they going down? Are they staying the same? If your bank accounts are going up, well, you can probably just keep doing what you're doing and you're on the right track, and you don't really need to look much deeper than that. You can put your focus and energy in other places of your financial life. If you find yourself flat or going down, then you most definitely should look deeper into that and figure out why. Where is it coming from, and what can you do to start turning that around? Number 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. The fourth reason that you're broke is because you hate your job. Or maybe you don't hate your job, but you're disengaged from your job. A recent Gallup poll shows that 70% of Americans are disengaged at work. That means there's a lot of you out there that are about to go full office space and burn that sucker down. Or at least you're mentally checked out and you're just kind of there for the paycheck, and that's about all you're going to get out of you. Number 3 really addresses what can you do on the expense side to figure out how can I spend my money in a smarter way, regardless of what I'm making. But for those of you who are simply not making enough to meet even the bare minimum of the bills and expenses that you have, well, this is where number 4 comes in, because it works on the income side, right? So if you need help saving, you either need to make more money or you need to spend less money, or some combination of the two. And so the general advice out there when it comes to how do you make more money is usually follow your dreams. Follow your true passion, and you'll never work a day in your life. Just follow your dreams, bruh. It's super easy. Just follow them. It's easy. Now, I do think that there's some merit in that advice of following your dreams, because if you're passionate about what you do, it's easier to work hard, or it's easier to enjoy what you're doing, to put in the extra mile, to get ahead, or things like that, yada yada yada. But I don't think this advice is particularly practical or useful. Okay, if it was that easy to follow your dreams and make a boatload of money, 70% of people would not hate their job. So let's talk a little bit about some more practical things that you can do to help boost that income. Alright, so before we jump into that, let's spend a second on understanding what determines how much you make at work. When I ask clients this question, usually I get some variation of the answer of hard work. You gotta work hard. You gotta put in the work. And if you're still not where you want to be, work even harder. Get a second job, a third job, a fourth job. It doesn't matter. Just keep working. And I'm here to tell you that hard work is important, obviously, but it's definitely not the number one thing that determines how much money you make. I'll give you a couple examples of that. 3 very hard jobs that require really hard work. Let's think about being a dishwasher, maybe in a very busy Korean barbecue restaurant where there's dishes on dishes on dishes. Number 2, let's think about being a day laborer who's picking fruit in the hot summer sun for 8 to 10 hours a day. That's a hard job, for sure. Or number 3, let's think about being a caretaker for the elderly or the disabled, where your job includes wiping their butt and feeding them and turning them over in bed and moving them around. That job is brutal and demanding, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And so those 3 jobs, all of them are super hard. All of them require hard work. And what do they pay? How much are you going to make using one of those 3 hard jobs? Well, probably pretty close to minimum wage. Or in the case of being a day laborer, it might actually be less than minimum wage if you're being paid illegally under the table. Because what really determines how much you get paid is a function of how specialized is that knowledge and how many other people are willing or able to do that same job, or how replaceable are you is another way to think about that. So let's go back to our other 3 examples. How specialized is the knowledge to wash a dish or pick fruit or wipe a butt? Okay, I think just about all of us are equipped to do that. So there's no specialized knowledge there. Just about anybody who's able-bodied can do those jobs. Number 2, how many people are willing to do those jobs? There's a lot of unskilled labor in America, and there's a lot of people that are competing for these minimum wage jobs to put food on the table. So that's why you're very replaceable. If you're a dishwasher at a restaurant, you're a dime a dozen. Those are replaceable. If you're picking fruit in the field, why is there a big supply of labor there? Well, because there's millions of people living in other countries that are getting paid pennies on the dollar for what you can earn here in America, and they're happy to come and work here for $5 an hour, $8 an hour, because it's much better than what they can get at home. And they want to send money back home to support their family or something, right? So when you have an abundance of labor where you're very replaceable, it's going to be hard to make a lot of money because your employer knows, I don't need to give you a raise. If you get too expensive, I'm just going to fire you and hire someone else in the long line of people who are all willing to do this job. So let's look at a slightly different example where there's maybe less people willing to do the job. How about those people that stand on the street corner holding signs? So you've seen them at traffic lights, and they're there holding signs representing a business nearby, and they're supposed to look happy and dance around. Some of them can do cool tricks and spin the signs and things like that. Now those jobs typically pay a few dollars above minimum wage. Why is that? Because most people don't want that job. They think it's embarrassing, or it's dehumanizing, it hurts their pride, or it's too active, it's hot in the sun, whatever. But they don't want to do it. They'd much rather get a retail job, or work at McDonald's, or some other minimum wage job that's less brutal and embarrassing. So because that job is in a little harder to replace people, it pays a little bit more. And that relationship is true just about across the board. So taking that a step further, how can you really get that income up? What you need to be thinking about is picking a skill or a job or a career where there's a lot of room for growth, where you can keep learning and advancing and getting more specialized knowledge. So let's take a brain surgeon, for example. If you're a brain surgeon, you have specialized knowledge. Not a lot of people know how to do brain surgery, and there's not a lot of them. So you're not very replaceable. So of course, brain surgeons are going to make a lot of money. But there's other jobs in many other ways where you too can make a lot of money. And it's really all about figuring out how to specialize your knowledge and make yourself less replaceable. So let's take a mechanic, for example. Now, why does a mechanic add any value or make any money? Well, because they have knowledge that other people don't. How to change suspension or rebuild an engine or even change your oil. So that's the knowledge that generates value. But let's take that a step further. How could a mechanic specialize their knowledge to make more money? Well, maybe instead of just working on Honda Civics or Toyota Corollas, they learn how to work on luxury vehicles like BMW, Mercedes, Lexus, or maybe even Ferrari or Lamborghini. Okay, that's more specialized knowledge that you usually have to get special certifications and training to be able to do as a mechanic. And if you have that knowledge, you can make even more money and make yourself less replaceable. Now you can take that a step further, and what if you learn how to be a mechanic for helicopters or airplanes or boats or submarines? Now that's super specialized knowledge and you can make even more money. So if you're an underwater welder for the Navy, that's a high-paying job. Now it's not an easy one, okay? So those are things to think about, and that really applies to anything. So even if you work at McDonald's as a cashier, you could figure out, well, what specialized knowledge could I obtain that would make me more valuable and less replaceable? So a cashier, any uneducated high school kid can do that job, so you're going to be making minimum wage. But let's think for a second, what would you have to know to be a general manager of a McDonald's? Well, you would have to know what does it take to be a great cashier, understanding the buttons and the customer service, but you'd also have to know what is it the cooks need to be doing and what makes a good cook. How about the drive-through people? How about the cleaning people? How about that godforsaken milkshake machine that doesn't work? How do we keep that thing running? Also items like the supply chain for your raw ingredients and the food that you're receiving. What do you need to know to keep the supply chain running smoothly? And what does it take to hire good employees or to retain the good employees that you already have? Or what makes your location better than another McDonald's on the other side of town? These are all examples of specialized knowledge that even somebody working as a cashier at a McDonald's can learn that will help them elevate and make more money. So always be asking yourself, what would I need to know to be able to do my boss's job? And try to figure out how to put yourself in that position. Maybe you need to go back to school. Maybe you need to take an independent license or certification course. Maybe you just need to pay close attention and really learn on the job. And here's another pro tip that can really help, and that is find yourself a good mentor. A mentor can be invaluable to giving you shortcuts on how to specialize your knowledge, really succeed. They might even have connections they can introduce you to that will open doors. So make sure you're looking for a good mentor. And there's lots of places you can look for a mentor, either in-person networking events or online. But something that I think is often overlooked when people say, okay, I'm looking for a mentor, make sure that you're the type of person that a mentor would want to invest in. Meaning, make sure that you're doing all the things that makes a mentor want to invest in you. You have to show them something that makes them willing to invest. Maybe it's your passion, maybe it's your hunger, maybe it's your drive, maybe it's your tenacity and your just refusal to give up. Maybe you're just a charmer and you're really going to charm the pants off of them and make them fall in love with you and really want to see you do well. There's lots of ways to win over a mentor, but you have to be thinking about, are you really showing what a mentor is going to be interested in? Because these mentors are going to be powerful, valuable, their time is limited, they don't want to invest in some yahoo or knucklehead, so make sure you're being your best self to put yourself in a great position to find a mentor. Number 5. Number 5 is your spouse is not on board. And this one's a little bit controversial, but I see it all the time with my clients where it doesn't matter if one spouse is doing everything right, they're financially literate, they have goals, they're tracking a budget and making more than they spend, they're kicking butt at work and continuing to specialize their knowledge. If your spouse is not on board, you're going to be in for a difficult road ahead. It doesn't matter if one spouse is really just bringing in the bacon and making tons of money and really stacking chips. If the other spouse is just spending it as fast as it's coming in, well, that's a tough place to be. And it's super common. Make sure that if you and your spouse are not on the same page, that you're communicating and educating each other and maybe doing a budget together and setting common goals together, that is super, super powerful to getting to where you want to be financially. And something else I'll say about couple finances is make sure that you're both educated about how the household operates. I see this all the time where one spouse does all the heavy lifting, pays all the bills, manages all the finances, and the other spouse is in the dark. They don't even know what are their assets, what are their investments, what are the bills they have to pay. And that's a super dangerous place to be, because if something happens to that heavy lifting spouse, they have a stroke or they die or you get divorced, this other spouse is going to be in a super vulnerable situation. And so it's really heartbreaking to see. So make sure that you're educating your spouse and understanding the household finances together so that you're both in a great position for the future. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video today, and if you learned something helpful or useful, I would greatly appreciate it if you like, comment, or subscribe. Would really love to hear from you about what you liked in the video, what you learned, or maybe what you think I missed or got wrong, or maybe you just have some other topics that you'd like me to address in future videos. Anyway, look forward to creating more content, and remember, if you're smart with your money and make good decisions, you're on your way to becoming a millionaire.